You are listening to a BeachGlass Media podcast.
Brothers and sisters, we have gathered you here today on this special Simple Time, Simple Sessions episode to talk to you about the events of Jonestown and the Reverend himself, Jim Jones, which we have talked about in the past before. I am Marcelo, and
I'm Andrew.
And we're just going to kind of give our thoughts, I guess, and really what I really was hoping to do in this episode was to really get Andrew's reaction to it. I have listened to multiple podcasts, multiple facts, multiple videos of the whole Jonestown massacre and who Jim Jones was. So I don't say I'm a master at it, but I was pretty knowledgeable about it, and when I finally was able to show Andrew the lights, I guess you would say, in a way, he kind of, took to it and really thought it was interesting. Plus, with his religious Christian upbringing, it did kind of go somewhat a little hand in hand, but he was definitely recognizing a lot of things on there, and finally got him to listen to the podcast that I sent him, which had a hell of a lot of information on it. And we've been trying to get this for, almost 3-4 months now, it seems like. So,
Marcelo, I just got to say it real quick because you kind of freaked me out at that very beginning of the episode. I'm like, why is Marcelo doing a impersonation of Bill Cosby?
That was Bill Cosby? You thought that was Bill Cosby?
No, I knew you were trying to do like an old gospel preacher.
Yeah. Trying to get into the Pentecostal kind of feel.
Yeah. I knew what you were doing all along. I'm just giving you a hard time, man.
Heal, Andrew. Heal. Feel the power.
But yes, Reverend Jim Jones. It's funny because I never really knew the story of Jim Jones until you brought it up on the Simple Times podcast, and give us the history on how that even came up.
It was through a shirt.
You got a shirt because you went to like a special
I went to
convention?
Monsterpalooza.
That's right, when you talked about Monsterpalooza.
Yeah, when I was at Monsterpalooza, there was a booth that was called Western Wear. No, what was Western? Yeah, it might have been Western Wear. What was it? Something like that. Something along those lines.
Do you remember when you went to Monsterpalooza? Around what time of the year it was?
Talking April, May?
April or May,
somewhere around there.
So it's been like 6 months.
Yeah.
And we've been wanting to talk about this topic, about this person for that long. And now we're finally doing it. And I'm excited to do the simple sessions.
I remember when you called me and you were like, dude, I listened to it and holy crap. Like you were blown away. You were on your route and you were still like, holy crap. Like,
right. So a quick setup. You sent me all the episodes of Jonestown and Jim Jones.
Right.
You sent me the last podcast on the left.
Which I think is probably the more informal ones.
And you sent me the case files.
Which is, I think, the more formal type, where he's not quite joking. It's just monotone, straight facts right at you.
And what these two podcasts do is they go very in depth.
No kidding.
Everything that led up to this basically cult leader turned serial killer. And well, we don't want to spoil it, but over 900 people died because of this man. And we're gonna get into that. And you're going to see how crazy this story is. If you've never heard it before, you're going to be amazed.
Yeah. Maybe we could even, I would say link the episodes to them, at some point we'll tell you how to get to the episodes that we listen to.
Right. So you came into BeachGlass, the studio, with this flashy shirt, and on the shirt was a person with sunglasses, and I didn't really know who this was. And then there was little packets of what it looked like Kool-Aid.
Right.
So for those of you who grew up in the 90s, you knew about Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid man, and you could buy these little pouches and mix it with water.
However, I got to tell you this, though.
Oh, go ahead.
It was not Kool-Aid. It was Flavor-Aid.
Yeah, and you told me this, and I was like, Flavor-Aid? I'd never heard of Flavor-Aid.
It's the cheap version of Kool-Aid. It's like the generic version of Kool-Aid.
Marcelo, why are you standing up all of a sudden?
See here.
Oh, he just zipped down his jacket.
And expose myself. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I figure for it, I'll bring back the Jim Jones T-shirt or button-up shirt that I got.
He's
with
wearing
Flavor-Aid,
which
is a grape
shirt.
flavor, I believe.
It looks like it says grape on it. Grape Flavor-Aid
with vitamin C.
It's still a cool shirt. So it's purple, and then Jim Jones is black and white, and then the Flavor-Aid
very like
pops.
almost Hawaiian type, but definitely know this was no vacation.
All right, so let's start at the beginning.
All right.
So Jim Jones, he is an American religious cult leader. And he created this church called People's Temple, right? And then, like I just mentioned, he was a mass murderer, born in Indiana.
Crete, near Lynn, Indiana. He like you said, it was an American cult leader, but the kind of thing that I learned was that they didn't call it a cult until after the mass suicides.
Okay, so prior to that, he was just known as like a pastor, a reverend.
The reverend and the leader of the People's Temple.
Which to anybody would have thought, oh, they're just a church.
Right, yeah. And they were mainly based out of San Francisco.
Right, but prior to San Francisco, he started in Indiana.
He did. That's where he started like his own little he didn't call it the People's Temple at that time. He was just kind of like getting his congregation going, getting his followers in Indiana.
And people were following him for many reasons.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, he got into the Pentecostal movement. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a denomination in the Christianity where it ties to the idea of Pentecost in the Bible in the book of Acts. There's a story where it says people were speaking in languages that they've never spoken before, but people can understand them. So
would that be like speaking in tongue kind of thing?
Exactly. Okay. That's where that originates from, speaking in tongues. And it's known to be more of a more charismatic denomination, kind of jumping up and down, hooting and hollering and running up and down the aisles.
They're like the ones where it's like you see them like come over, like they smack them on the head, like heal, demon out of you and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So if you've seen that before, that's kind of more of the Pentecostal denomination.
Very theatrical.
Yeah. And from what I remember learning about Jim Jones is that he gravitated to that denomination because that Pentecostal type church they were known as the outcast. And Jim Jones really, he kind of wanted to help those that were marginalized and known as outcasts.
But not only that, it also seemed like he also just wanted to help people. Like it literally came down to just he wanted to just do good. He just wanted to help people, and he was. Like I remember that there was a story that they were talking about of this little old lady that was a pensioner that was like 2 months away from losing her house because she couldn't afford the taxes and the mortgages and all that stuff. And so she was a member of this congregation. And she basically just pulled him off to the side and said, "Hey, listen, I'm having a really hard time." And he got in front of everybody and explained her situation and asked for donations and asked if they could help. And they ended up raising enough money to pay off her house and pay off any back pay. And basically, he went up to the bank and said, "Here's all your money. Here's what you're asking. Leave her the fuck alone," basically. And that's what he was doing to a lot of the people, is that if you had a problem like that, he would help you solve it. And he was making a lot of friends, and a lot of people started believing in him because he was like, "Oh my God, he's solving the problems that I have. He's basically like he's answering my prayers,"
He had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you contend with that? I mean, and then the other thing was the social justice type of stuff that he got involved with. Because during that time, he was born in like the 50s.
He was born.
And he came to prominence in his area maybe in like the 60s, I want to say.
Yeah.
So during that time, in American society, there was a lot of segregation and stuff like that. So he really did want to help integrate, say, the black community and the white community together. Right. Mm-hmm. So you can see that he was doing a lot of that kind of social work where at his church, he would say, I want people of all colors to be a part. And, I don't want this segregation to keep going on. He really thought of himself as, I'm going to bring everyone together. This is how it's supposed to be. And that aspect of him is very noble. Like, how could you not
like him? How could you not want to follow him and believe in him,
Right. And, but the odd thing is I think he was also known to read a lot of like communism type literary works.
Yeah, at the time he did really lean heavily on the whole Marxism. Mm-hmm. Which was definitely something that was also going around. I mean, we're talking the end of World War II, beginning of the Cold War. When a lot of the communists and a lot of like the USSR theories were seeping over, right. Socialism was pretty new, was a pretty new concept. Marxism, all that stuff was new, and it was quite literally like how we've been talking about Jim Jones, where it's like if you look at it, it's like, oh, it sounds great. It sounds like, oh my God, they're here to solve my problems. Before you get into the nitty gritty stuff where you realize, oh shit, this is actually not really what I signed up for,
Yeah, because also during that time when he rose to prominence, you had the wars in Vietnam.
Before that, we're talking. Before that? Yeah, Vietnam was late 60s. We're talking maybe right around Korean War.
Okay, well, I guess what I was trying to say was there was this make love not war type of movement,
right, yeah,
and a lot of like socialism and communism was to help each other, and we all just have to love one another. So I think Jim Jones kind of ran with that and said, no, yeah, they are right, we should just care for each other, love one another, not be in war with each other. We're all God's children, so we all have to help each other. But of course, like Karl Marx is known to, and the idea of Marxism is to separate from God, but we need to be together because we're humans. Yeah. For humanity's sake, we got to help each other. So a lot of good things, for sure.
Basically, like the entire belief of like separation of church and state, like to really be like we don't need God or we don't need a religion to tell us to be good to each other. Like let's just all be good and support each other.
Right. So he took that concept, but I think, and I remember hearing the guys from last podcast on the left say this, that he really didn't believe in God. But I think he used it for power.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really what most cult leaders kind of do. They may not believe in God, but once they see, oh, I can get whatever I want out of this, and I think that was also the beginning of the planting of the seed of which became, the People's Temple and the whole Jonestown thing.
I read when he was a kid, he actually took a liking not only to Stalin and Lenin, but also Hitler. Like he read Mein Kampf, and when he was a kid, he would kind of manipulate other kids to like do what he wanted them to do, either by force or.
Yeah, he was very good at convincing people that he is here for good, that he is here for your best interests.
So it started off when he was a little kid. Isn't that creepy?
Like a little bit, yeah. I mean, I guess for you, it would really be because I mean, a lot of the things like because this is kind of like the opening of the world to like cults and stuff like that, and to like this darker side of history. And since I've been kind of already listening to this stuff, it's like that's just the basics for every guy that I've. I mean. There was a guy. Oh my God! I just listened to him. Peter Kürten, the serial killer from Germany. His first kill was when he was 9 years old.
A person?
Yeah, two of his fellow children, or two of his fellow schoolmates.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, a double homicide at 9.
Wow.
And then, I mean, you know, of hearing of other serial killers and cult leaders and stuff, where it's like they started, violence against small animals at 5 or 6 or 10 or something like that. So it's like when you hear him say that, oh yeah, as a kid he was able to manipulate. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what they do.
I know. And when I hear stories like that, I just look at my kids and I'm like, whew, I'm glad they're not killing animals.
Not yet.
Hey,
just kidding.
Did I tell you we got 2 guinea pigs?
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. I'll have to show them to you later. But
okay.
Yeah, we got 2 guinea pigs and my kids aren't killing them.
Okay.
But yeah, so it started off young and I think he saw what the Pentecostal movement was doing, and he got really into faith healing.
Yes,
like that was a big thing that pulled him into become quote unquote a minister.
It seemed like he loved the theatrics. He loved like that, like the all eyes on me. I can do this. I will be the center of your universe kind of a thing. It's less of like he believed in like the actual healing part, and I just think that he just liked the fact that it was like, oh, I can do like a cool thing, where people like me.
If I remember correctly, there were all these tent revivals going around during his time. And so, yeah, he saw these miracles taking place, which we don't know if they were real or not. But the origin to faith healing obviously goes back to the New Testament where Jesus did miracles wherever he went. So that's where that kind of stems from. But, he would see all these tent revivals and stuff, and he's like, wow, yeah, like you said, he likes the theatrics.
Yeah.
And he probably thought to himself, I can do that.
Yeah.
To a point where he actually did fake healings, but it got people to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, man, that's just crazy.
It is, but I mean, like I said, that's just what the basics of all of them. God, I wish I could remember what this guy at work when I was telling him about it. I can't remember what it was that he had said, but because he's a very religious person too. And when I was telling him about this, because every once in a while he'll like try to throw like some like little religion at me, and then I grab one of these cults and I throw it in his face, like, yeah, this is why I don't follow it, because of this. And I think he said something like, oh yeah, something along the lines of like the greatest joke that the devil ever pulled was convince people that he didn't exist, kind of a thing.
Okay, that comes from C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters.
Is it?
There's a book called The Screw Tape Letters.
Okay,
and that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
But what do you know what denomination this coworker of yours is?
I think he's Christian.
Oh,
yeah.
Run of the mill.
Yeah,
Christian?
I think he is. Yeah.
The dime a dozen.
Yeah, just the one that you throw a stone at and you can hit him. It's kind of a thing. But I mean, he seems to be more like more faith than really religion. But I mean, it's we were talking about, and he was saying something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, they all look nice until they're not. Or I can't, like I said, I wish I knew what he had said was like, yeah, that's pretty much what Jim Jones was. He really had made you believe that he was, all good, but it was like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's what I would say. He was a master manipulator.
Yes. And
I'm sure you could attest to that from all the serial killers or cult leaders that you listen to, like they're all kind of fall in that same vein.
Oh yeah. I mean, once they find people with the same idea or the same urge to help in the way you think is right, that's the start of it. I mean, look at Charles Manson. He got his followers because they all felt like they were betrayed by society at some point. Where, like you were saying, the outsiders, they felt they were outsiders, and he managed to talk about a master manipulator. I mean, he was able to. He wasn't even in person for some of the murders. They just went and did it in his name. That's how manipulative he was. But yeah, I mean, going. I mean, if you look at all the cults, all the serial killers, they all have that manipulative feel, and it all stems from just finding that common ground that you have with a group of people, and then just basically teaching that small group how to relate to others and how to bring them in. And it's almost like a pyramid scheme. Like it's like a pyramid, like it's like a cult's like a pyramid scheme. You have someone at the top that just kind of, and the idea just kind of trickle down, and you just try to get as many people as you can to believe in you. And yeah, I mean, in this one, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at the beliefs and the views, ended in one of the biggest tragedies in the world.
So before we get there, because that's going to be our finale.
Oh yeah.
So let's see, where were we?
If they haven't Googled it already.
I know. So he had his following, he had his church. I think he decided to go into the Methodist denomination to start. And then I think he pulled away and kind of did his own thing, and he started People's Temple, right?
He went to San Francisco.
So then he took about 150 people and said, hey,
sounds about right.
Let's all go to San Fran because, there's open land, we can develop.
I think it was more because there was more money out west.
I think you're right about that. And also, there, in San Francisco, there was a lot of that hippie movement.
Yeah, that's where kind of Woodstock was and all that stuff was. So,
and I'm sure he thought, I can get more people.
100%.
To believe in this. We're here about love, helping each other.
It was like I said. It on the surface, the hippie movement and Jim Jones kind of looked like they were all running the same race, but and
he was doing the social justice thing.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, hey, let's not discriminate people based on their skin color. We're all God's children. Yeah. So everything he's saying is correct. Like even I agree with him. Like the things that he was saying. When I was correct.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, I was agreeing with a lot of things too. Going like, man, he probably could have gotten me in the beginning.
And when I hear people say things like that, and I remember I was watching something with my wife, and she said the same thing. She was like, I feel like I could have believed in that person.
Yeah.
It was some other like serial killer or cult leader. And it's like, yeah, because at the start, they're saying all the right things. It all sounds good. It makes sense. Like, yeah, like I'd follow this guy. But then it makes me wonder, what is that thing inside of humans, inside of all of us, that wants to follow something bigger than us? I think that all of us have something like that in us.
Right.
If not, we want to follow something that we see that has power. It's either that or we want the power. But it, what do you think?
Talking about that, it reminds me of the Heaven's Gate cult, which I'll introduce you to later. But the way that they were able to get their members was they would basically just find people that were really literally at like rock bottom of whatever it is that they were feeling, whether it was a family issue or career issue or something where they felt like, man, I don't know where else to go. I am at the worst part of my life. And then you just get someone that has like a friendly face and has an ear that will listen to all your problems. And then you start feeling like, oh, I can trust this person. This person's let me vent. And then they just kind of start bringing you in. And it's just, I mean, that seems to be the running thing amongst them all is quite literally just, they're just down on their luck and they're trying to think of it kind of like an AA meeting or like an addictions kind of meeting. These are people that are literally quite bottomed out and they're trying to find a way to climb back up. And the one thing that they all kind of gravitate to is some form of religion. Because it's like you go in there and you can feel like the love, you can feel like the welcomeness, and less about like you're being cast aside as a social outcast. It's more like they're kind of looking at you like, hey, like, we'll give you a chance, come on over this way. Here's some food. Here's, warm clothes. Come on over here. And, of course, depending on the path they go within those ideas, depends on if they have a great experience with it or a horrible experience with it. And I think what the timeline that we're following here with the Jim Jones thing is everybody's riding that high of I'm accepted somewhere, I am doing good in the society, I'm being that good person that I want to be, of helping out the needy, of helping out the good people, not listening to the bad. I wouldn't say quite doing like a fuck the government kind of thing, but just kind of like, I'm not going to let them tell me what to do. I'm going to do my own thing that I know is doing good for the world, and I'm above you, and just kind of getting like that feel of I feel really good in what I'm doing without really realizing what am I doing? What is this that I am doing? It's just
so. We know for sure Jim Jones is doing a lot of good.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Helping people, which, that's being philanthropic. And yeah, you can't argue with that. If someone's doing something good in the world, you can't really say, no, you can't do that. You can't do good. No one will say, no, you can't help people. That just doesn't make sense.
Right, yeah.
Of course you want to help people. But so he moves his church from Indiana to San Francisco, and things are going great in San Francisco, but then he takes it up a notch. I mean, so yeah, he's helping a lot of people. People are looking up to him. They look at him as just like anybody would that has all this power. Like, he's a pastor. He's in tune with God. So why would you not believe him?
Right. Yeah.
He's using the Bible, quote unquote.
Like I said, he's saying everything that they want to hear. He's not saying everything.
Not just saying, but also doing
right
good things for his church, for his people.
And he's not. It's not like he's saying something that you need to hear. He's saying what you want to hear. That's the key to all of this, is he is saying what you want to hear. And further into the story, when we start seeing the fear of global climates and global views, he starts really leaning into the whole, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear just to keep you believing in me. And less of, I'm here to tell you what you need to hear so you can be happy and you can go on with your life. There's going to be a shift in the ideas of Jim Jones.
Yeah. So another thing that Jim Jones was believing in was this idea of the apocalypse.
Yes.
And this comes from, in the Bible, the book of Revelation, there's this talk about the end times, that the world's going to end. And, there are some denominations that they would focus heavily on that.
Yes.
And it instills fear in people.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, another manipulation tactic.
Well, fear is power.
Is fear. If whoever can get you to be scared about something, they will have your attention.
Oh, yeah.
And you see this all the time. You see it in the news media.
Uh-huh.
The Y2K. Oh, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The year 2000. But stay tuned, because we'll tell you everything you need to know. And if they grab your attention,
all of the computers, all of the electronics, everything power is just going to shut down all at once. And yeah.
Right. So fear. Listen to us.
Yep.
We'll tell you what to do. Of
Yeah.
course, the news was telling us this stuff. They have the quote unquote power over this narrative. And so, yeah, people are going to tune in. Oh, yeah, let's go. I remember during Y2K, my dad went to Costco, or was it Sam's Club, bought a bunch of stuff. I remember he bought something that he would never buy for us in the past. He bought like big cases of Snickers bars, because he was like, yeah, if we ran out of food, we could at least eat Snickers bars. And I'm like, I was a kid. I was probably like, what? Let's see. The year 2000, I was probably like 9-10 years old.
Yeah, that's about the age we were, yeah.
So I'm thinking, ooh, I'm going to give me some Snickers real soon once everything crashes.
Yeah,
yes. Right? I was rooting for the Y2K to destroy computers and everything. It never happened.
Yeah.
And then, we slowly started eating the Snickers bars.
Yeah.
But this idea of fear.
Yeah.
So...
And not only was Jim Jones really pushing the apocalypse, but also at the time was the Cold War. So there was literally a fear of like a nuclear apocalypse. Of they could send us nuclear missiles at any time and wipe us out. And Jim Jones played into that. Jim Jones knew that these people were afraid of it, and that definitely fueled the I can really lean into this and really capture them. That's what I was going back to, the whole fear is power, and that's like what you were saying. Apocalypse comes around, that's the perfect time, and that's the key to a lot of these apocalyptic cults is they find a doomsday cult. They find the doomsday, and then that's all they preach about is the end times are near, the end times are coming. Was the end is nigh? Is that what the
Yeah. And you know what? I gotta touch on this because I had a taste of this growing up.
Yeah.
I don't want to be known as the Christian guy. Well, actually, I don't mind being known as the Christian guy, but yeah, growing up, there was this whole rapture idea.
Yeah.
Which some people say, oh, the word rapture isn't even in the Bible, but there was this idea, and I think it came from like a book from this author. Gave this idea in this novel. It was fiction, of course, that God's going to come back for his people, and then people will be left behind. So there was this movie called Left Behind that came out. Oh, and there was a Nicolas Cage was actually a star in this Left Behind movie. It came out, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It didn't do too well. It was one of those B movies.
It sounds like
it was during the time Nicolas Cage would do any movie. You know?
It almost sounds like the movie Knowing.
I did see Knowing with Nicolas Cage too. He did that one. I saw it in theaters. I actually I enjoyed that one.
Where it was like these figures ended up being angels that were there to find like the next Adam and Eve and take them to like another planet in the way distant whatever.
Yeah.
Because the world was going to end. And
yeah. What was interesting about that movie, Knowing, is I didn't think it was going to be a biblically based kind of.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought it was be like straight up like sci-fi,
right. Because in the Bible it does talk about the world's going to end, but there's going to be a new start,
right? Which
is how that movie ended.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to piece it together, and I'm like, wait, this has some touches of like biblical, apocalyptic kind of stuff. I'm like, this is like from the book of Revelation. And I was like, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was just going to be a science fiction.
Right, yeah.
But
like another like Deep Impact. Do you ever see Deep Impact?
I think I did. Asteroid hits the Earth.
Comet hits the Earth. Basically wipes out like 70%, drowns basically 70% of like the population.
Oh yeah, the big tidal wave.
Yeah, it comes through, wipes everybody out, but like the smart ones were like, as long as they climbed high enough up on a hill, up on a mountain, they survived. And then you see everything kind of slowly receding, and they've got to start over again. And
now that you brought that up, this theme keeps popping up in movies.
Yeah.
Don't look up.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. The world's going to end, but we got to tell everybody you got to get on the spaceship and whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny. You see the same themes, but in different generations and also different levels of scientific advancements.
Yeah.
But where was I going? Oh yeah. So in the Bible, there's this idea in Christian circles, the rapture, you're going to be left behind. And so I remember, I think if you grew up in the 90s in the church, you were freaked out about being left behind. Oh, you don't want to be left behind because then you'll go through trials and tribulation is, what they would say.
And I think, do you think it was also because they kind of saw the millennia ending, and it was like we weren't sure. Like I want to say, I don't like Y2K. I don't think was really being talked about as much in like in the early 90s, but I wonder if like they were definitely like, man, the millennia, like we're gonna get to the year 2000 from 1900s, and are we gonna be, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, there's definitely all these what they call like end time scholars. And there's like certain numbers that are significant.
Oh yeah,
based from the Bible. So there's always people that are saying, "Oh, the year 2000," or "Oh yeah,
2012." Remember 2012?
Yeah. And they're like, well, we got it wrong. 2016 for sure this time.
Right.
And so, I heard all this stuff growing up. And then I came to a point personally where I was like, you know what? No one knows. And it's like Jesus even said, no one knows the day or the hour. So it's like, why even worry about it? That's where I've landed now.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, why worry about when the end of the world's going to come? It's like, if it does, there's nothing we could do. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'm getting off topic. That was just to talk about the whole doomsday
right,
stuff.
Yeah.
It does pop up in Christian circles. I've heard it growing up myself. And
I mean, me not even really growing up, religious. I mean, I guess you'd say I grew up Catholic through my grandma, but yeah, no, they were the same thing. I mean, it was like, in the end of times, the very along lines of like, if you do good now, when the end of times come, you'll be rewarded. And again, it's like to me, it seems like all the religions they may not have like a doomsday specific set time, date, whatever, but there is the definitely idea of like, well, you better be doing good, otherwise, because when the end comes, you're going to be judged, and it's it's just again, it's fear is power. If you have that fear, you have that power.
Right. And definitely that's what Jim Jones was doing.
Yeah. 100%.
He was telling people, look, he would read the news or listen to the news, but he would tell his people, oh no, you guys can't listen to the news or anything.
Right.
Because it's really horrible, really bad, but only I can because, I'm close to God and
he was the only one that was able to really like siphon and make the choices. And
so he had this power. Definitely, that's what it comes down to. He had this power to manipulate.
Yeah.
And I have the inside knowledge. Listen to me.
Yeah.
And so if you're told no, you can't listen to the news yourself, you have to listen to from me. Of course, people are going to follow you even more because they're going to be like, oh, this guy knows so much.
Right.
And if they see things happening around them that goes along with what this man is saying, of course they're like, man, this guy is, he's really helping us out here.
And now also right around the same time when he starts believing in this stuff, where he starts saying like, don't listen to the news, what's also fueling a lot of like this fear is power kind of mentality is the fact that he's starting to do drugs now. He's starting to do amphetamines. He's starting to do speed. He's starting to do crystal meth because he believes all the work that he does, he doesn't have enough time in the day to complete the things he wants to do. So he's got to find ways to keep awake. And he finds it through speed. He finds it through crystal meth, through crack cocaine, whatever he's able to get his hold of. And then that turns on the paranoia to where he starts believing in the shit that he's talking.
It starts messing with his brain.
Yeah, and like so when the whole nuclear apocalypse theory start going around, he hears it, he starts believing it himself, and then he passes on. And then instead of like him feeling the fear, he just channels that and passes it on to his followers. So this way he can still have feel like he has a purpose in the world, and he still is like all knowing above these people. And drugs are becoming a very, very huge part of who he is in this people's temple.
All right, so we got the drugs, but we skipped over rock and roll. And when I say rock and roll, I mean Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And we all know Elvis Presley was, he was a big time figure and people loved him because he was cool.
Right.
Jim Jones had that cool factor.
He styled his hairstyle, his glasses, the way he dressed, almost all of that after Elvis, because he wanted that level of fame.
He wanted that fame. He wanted that look, that look at me. I'm
flashiness.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he wore
aviator glasses, which is what he's wearing here in the shirt, and which he never took off. And a lot of people had said that the reason why he never took it off is because his eyes were so bloodshot from all of the drugs that he didn't want anybody to look at it and feel, oh, wait, there's something wrong with him. It was he wanted to disguise it so this way everybody thought that everything was fine, that he was this all-knowing leader, that like the whole like don't show any weakness kind of a thing.
Kind of like how Joe Biden, whenever he wore his aviator sunglasses, everyone was like, oh yeah, he's cool, he's young, he's hip. Similarly, I think that was the effect of him wearing sunglasses, was like, whoa, he's cool.
Hey, whenever he's
indoors wearing sunglasses.
When people are hungover, it's the same thing. You don't want to catch on that you are hungover, so you wear the glasses and hide the bags under the eyes. You had the bloodshotness, all that stuff. Not saying that I've been hungover, but when I'm tired, I kind of do the same thing. I'll throw some glasses on, and I'm just like, hey, you can't see me, eyes basically going crossed and rolling back in my head.
But I'm not the only one that looks at someone wearing sunglasses indoors, and I'm like, I can't. Yeah, what are you doing, my dude?
Honestly, the first time I ever really saw that and paid attention to it was Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson? Yeah, Jack Nicholson. He's been doing that. He's doing that a lot. And then people were saying that it was because he was getting the bags in the eyes, and he was like starting to really kind of show the age. So yeah, I mean, people hide behind the sunglasses for multiple reasons, and Jim Jones was hiding behind it because of the drugs. He didn't want he none of his followers knew that he did drugs.
Right.
Because he felt that if they knew that, then they would realize, oh, he doesn't have the power anymore. This is all just a drug-fueled craze,
So we have the drugs.
Yep.
We have the rock and roll.
Yep.
There's one thing missing,
and that is
sex.
Yes.
So like most cults, there's always some element of sex involved, where it's either manipulated, also
right,
distorted, abused.
Yeah. And
this guy, he abused it.
And not only did he abuse it, but he was an equal opportunity abuser, because men and women, he did not care.
That part was disturbing. And like you said, men or women, and he would say, like, I remember I listened to a clip on the BBC video that he would say, you think I want to do this?
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I have a hard time getting off on doing it with this dude or this lady.
Or he would say, like, I don't have time for this, but I have to do this, and he would always make up a reason as to why he's doing it. It's not because he wants to, it's because he feels he needs to really put you in your place.
Once again, it's this, I have power over you, and I'm going to show you I have power over you because I need, like you said, need to put you in your place so you can follow me better.
And then also a lot of the times he would make up stories to make you believe that he was still like the big performing man. He would make up stories of who he fucked, how he fucked him, all that.
How long?
Yeah. When he had so many drugs in his system at this point, he couldn't keep an erection. He couldn't have that stimulation anymore, and he just had to always mimic that. I think they even said that he started, like, when he felt that he needed to abuse, he would use objects. Not necessarily sex toys, but just really whatever he was able to get and use, and he would just use them on whoever to either punishment, pleasure, or just running the whole manipulation game.
But yeah.
See, we're getting heavy now. It was believable at first. You started believing in him, but now you're starting to see the spiralness.
Because he keeps, when there's secrets.
Yeah. And remember all the secret meetings that he would have?
Remind me, I'm drawing a blank.
He would have like his little quote unquote army of people, like his own little government, kind of within the temple.
He had his trusted people,
and they would always
devoted.
And they would always have secret meetings in the back rooms where they would discuss their next move, how they're going to make the church stronger. And really, it was really just him saying, like, either making up the stories, which stories he was going to make up, or even just trying to figure out who do we need to kill.
And of course he said, and hey, don't forget, I'm like this close I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
To God.
Yeah.
So I'm not making stuff up. I'm not lying to you. I am basically God. But I try to remember if it was Jim Jones or if it was this Mormon cult that I watched a thing on. But people would try to write letters to their family members, but he would read them.
Yes.
Was that Jim Jones?
Yeah, he did that too. A lot of those cults did that as well. But yeah, he did that too, where he wouldn't send them. And then if I remember correctly on this part, or if I remember this correctly, I think he would even reply back as if they did get the letters, and this is their reply, just to hold that manipulation over, like, see, they don't love you. I love you. So you need to stay here. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, because I think family members would write to them.
Yeah.
He would read them, so he'd know what they're saying.
So this way he could have that over you as well.
Crazy. So once again, he's distorting information.
Yep, distorting reality for all of his members.
The question is, at this point, there's got to be members that are still like, oh yeah, this guy's great.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be members that don't know the behind the scenes stuff. So from the outside looking at this man, they still think they're following this amazing, righteous man.
Yeah. And it's because they have basically given up everything that they know, love, and owned just to be here. So they're literally quite literally saying to themselves, I don't have anything else to do. This is literally it. I can't do anything else.
Right, because their work is within their community.
Not only that, but I mean, I'm talking like quite literally. And so they weren't just in San Francisco at this point. They had also spread to L.A. Oh. So they were here in L.A. and San Francisco because they were basically really just going to wherever the money was. And they would find these rich people, manipulate them into none of them had jobs. If they did, they'd have maybe a little odd job here and there. But for the most part, their funding was they would find someone rich, convince them to give them all of their wealth and money. And I mean, kind of basically crackhead mentality of give me everything that you have and then run to the pawn shop, cash it all in for pennies on the dollar, and we'll just throw that in the pot. Something, make money, get rich quick schemes kind of stuff. But it wasn't working. But he was able to convince people to literally give them everything they owned, give them their entire life to follow him, and to get them to the point to where and convince them to stay, just because they were like, well, we don't have anything else. We gave you everything, so we have to see how this goes.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? I mean, this guy's preaching from the Bible.
He's boning everybody and whatever you want. So I mean, you're getting all the pleasures.
He's getting all the pleasures,
right? Yeah.
From the outside looking at this man, he's getting all the money.
Yeah.
He's next to God. He's preaching the Bible. You can't go against the Bible. He is growing a massive commune, right? He has a lot of followers.
He's the Pope.
He's basically his little version of the Pope. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the person next to you and to the left and to the right, you're like, well, they're following him, so I don't want to be left out. He brought me in when I was at my lowest point. Right. So why not keep following him?
Well, it's also because his little military group that he had, or his little guards, or whatever you want to call them, once they would start catching wind that somebody was trying to leave, that's when they would turn up the notch on the whole fear and get you to stay.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he's bringing people of color to mix with white people, and look at this, it's like a beautiful rainbow. This community is growing. You got the social justice aspect of it. He wants to change. Well, he didn't like government,
right? Yeah,
he wanted to be separate from government and to help the people, because government was...
He kind of wanted his own government,
He wanted his own government without saying it, but he was anti-capitalist. He didn't like the idea of there being rich people and poor people. No, everyone should be the same.
Right, except for him. He was the one with all the money. He wanted everything. He wanted to sit on top of that mountain and watch all of you, Scrounder? No. Basically, watch all of you suffer while he sits up at the top and tells you everything is fine.
But he is helping you, though. He's giving you a place to live. He's giving you food.
Rotted food. A lot of it was rotted because they couldn't afford to get new food. So
let's jump a little bit ahead because he went from Indiana to San Francisco and parts of LA.
Yeah.
And then he did the biggest move ever.
He did. They went to Guyana, which is a country north of Brazil in South America. And he did it because he felt so. At this point, when people started catching on, and family members were basically writing to their congressman saying, "Hey, listen, something happened to my kid, something happened to my relative, my friend, whoever." And we think that they're over here at this church. We keep writing and they not replying back. The U.S. government started to kind of probe into it a little bit to see what's going on. Why does it seem like every time that this church is seen in this area, people tend to kind of go missing in a way, kind of, and he started feeling pressure from the U.S. government that again, this is the paranoia of the drugs as well,
and the whole apocalyptic kind of notion.
Yeah, where he felt like they're gonna come down, they're gonna get me. So his way of avoiding it is fleeing the country, and no country wanted him. Guyana, I guess, in a way, didn't even want him, but they were one of those countries where it was like they weren't developed. They were very poor. So as long as you were able to bring money in and promise them money, come on in. And which is what happened. They literally scrounged together every single penny that they had to board planes. But before they all made the move, he was going back and forth creating the compounds down in Guyana with his trustees.
They were developing the land.
Yeah. They were making that whole compound down here. Down there, and just basically pushing forward to that doomsday of the end is near. We are getting close to the final stages of our plans.
So we have to move over here to Guyana where it's safe.
Right.
And we will live in perfect harmony. It'll be great. Everyone's going to work together.
Yep. We're all going to live off the land.
What I found very fascinating about this is that he actually made it happen.
Yep.
Like, I think about, the founding of America. You had people sailing across the Pacific Ocean, discover this land and building upon it. And, that takes some kind of crazy sense of exploration and adventure and discovering new lands, building something new. And then this guy from Indiana does this crazy thing. Decides to go to Guyana.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like the most random place in the world.
It was, yeah.
And I saw the pictures. He actually builds like little houses and roads
huts and all that stuff. Oh yeah.
He has like a gate that says,
it was a whole compound. Yeah, he had acres and acres.
And this
of
is
compounds.
where the name comes from. He named it
Jonestown.
Yep. This man creates his own like mini country.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's insane.
And I think they said that his overall goal was to take over Guyana, that he wanted to create the rapport with people down there because they didn't have a military. Guyana didn't have a military. They barely had a government. There was no police. Everybody there was basically like nomads. Like they were all living off the land, and they were all just
the land.
Yeah, and so he figured this will be an easy country for me to take over, and again. As he gets older and the more drugs he takes, the more of these thoughts, these crazy, just outlandish thoughts he starts getting. It's like, look at the progression. He goes from just, I want to help people out to, I need to run a country. I need to do this. I need to take over the world, and it's just like, it's like this building just of fueling paranoia and fear and drugs and just you thinking everybody's gonna stab you in the back and who do I trust? And I mean, he had 3-4 kids, and none of them really wanted to have anything to do with him because they all saw that he was crazy.
Oh, and I forgot to mention he had adopted kids too.
Yeah.
And he had, and this is why people liked him, is because he adopted outside of his race. So he had like Black adopted children, Asian adopted children.
Yep.
So anybody watching this from the outside is like, yeah, this guy, he's living what he preaches.
He was tugging at all the heartstrings and everybody he could reach.
And just to think, some guy from some podunk town in Indiana, takes a whole group of people to Guyana. That would be like
almost 1,000 people.
That would be like Marcelo or Kehoe just from San Pedro, little coastal town.
That would be like me taking everybody at Robinson Helicopter Company and going to create our own country.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Robinson Helicopter Company has roughly 1,200 people working there.
Let's say everyone just started following you because you told them like, hey.
And we just picked up and moved down to.
Because you said, I have a podcast. And they're like, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want more.
Yeah.
I want more. And they just keep following and listening to everything you have to say.
And it'd be like, and if you stop listening to me, all the economy is going to fail. Throat's getting dry trying to do this Southern Baptist dude.
And then one of your best like coworker friends are like, hey man, I don't know about that Andrew guy. I think you gotta take him out if you know what I mean, because he's slowing you down. You could do more without him, and then you kill me.
And that's how Jones also did. He had his own little hit squad where they would go out, and if he felt that there's somebody that was a big enough threat to his plans, he'd have him killed. And then try to blame them, saying, well, see, he was a non-believer, or making him basically, would you say, like call him like the martyr, to basically show like, hey, see, if you don't believe in what I believe in, this is what's going to happen. But not say I killed him, but just say like, see how God punishes him for this.
There you go, using God to justify his actions, and it not just killing him, not killing people. He would also bring people up who, let's say, are quote unquote misbehaving.
Yeah.
Bring them up to the front of the church while they're doing their normal services, and he would beat them.
Yeah, he'd torture them,
basically
punish
beat them into
and,
submission.
Oh, yeah.
And make an example out of you.
Yeah.
So he used violence to keep his people in line.
Yeah. And
he said he would like beat them to a pulp and be like, see, look, this is what happens when you, I don't know, go against what I say.
Now, much like a lot of these cult leaders, they themselves wouldn't get their hands dirty. They would have their followers do it for them. They would have their close circle do it. And a lot of people believe that at this point, he just didn't have the strength to do it, that he was literally so drug fueled. It was just, he just couldn't control him. Anything. He had no strength. Shortly out, about a few months after they went down to or made Jonestown, a U.S. representative, Ryan, I want to say something Ryan. I don't know if you want to look it up.
A U.S. representative decided to fly over there, right? To kind of see what was going on.
So that's what the representative's plan was, is go down there, make sure everybody's safe, make sure everybody's fine, try to see if we can talk them into coming back, but not really forcing them. But Jones had the idea of, he's coming down here because he's going to steal all of you away from us.
And the name was Representative Leo Ryan.
Okay. And that ended up being a pretty bad idea for Leo Ryan, because once Ryan touched down with his staff members or whatever, they saw the compound, they were like, okay, all right. And when he turned around, making his way back to the airport, they were all killed. They were all murdered by Jones's people.
I forgot about that part.
And they claim nobody really knows what it is that sent them off. But a lot of people do believe that it was because Jones was so paranoid that he was there to disrupt their plans, their ultimate doomsday goal, and that actually pushed forward to the doomsday goals that Jim Jones had set. When there was talk that Ryan was going to fly down, he started having practices of, hey, basically telling everybody, you are not going to be leaving here alive, and they started having practices, and what he would do is he would put in like very, very tart juices, mixing it and have them all drink it just to see, but he wouldn't drink it himself.
He was testing his people to see how loyal they were to him.
Yeah, and once he felt that the tests were enough, and especially after Ryan had visited, and given that they had killed him, he knew it was only a matter of time before the U.S. government or somebody was going to come down on him and take him back. And
so what was he telling his people exactly? Do you remember? Like, did he tell them they're coming after us? It's all over?
Yeah, pretty much. They're coming here to basically they are coming here to kill you. They are here for me, and they're going to kill you to get to me. So we need to get ahead of it first, and basically just trying to say that, and then also he basically was making up lies, saying that the world economy is going down. People are dying here left and right. There's bombs going off here. There's mass shooting going on here. People going crazy. We need to leave here while we still can.
And of course, because he's the one that knows the news.
Yeah,
he can twist the news.
Oh yeah.
And was it him that had like phone lines from his like house into everyone else's? Was that him? And so he could talk to like on a loudspeaker or something to every single house.
I don't know about that, but I know he had like basically like a whole PA system to like hooked up to loudspeakers throughout the compound. I don't know if they went into the houses, but I know that he was able to basically give these speeches.
Because I keep getting it confused with this fundamentalist Mormon kind of group,
right,
also cultish. I keep getting them mixed up. But
I mean, it's like I was saying, all of these kind of run along together. All of these are kind of roughly on the same ideas. It's just different actions to get to different areas.
So going back to the climax of this guy, so they killed this U.S. representative.
Yep.
He told his people, "Hey,
the time has come.
It's coming. It's it. This is
here.
It.
Yeah,
it's
over.
Here.
We have to.
We're running. We have a day,
if that.
So, I love you all, but we got to do this thing.
Yep.
So what did he end up doing, Marcelo?
He made the Flavor Aid. He made the concoctions. He made the cocktails.
Now I've heard of Kool-Aid, but what is Flavor Aid, Marcelo?
Well, they were so poor that they couldn't afford Kool-Aid, the name brand Kool-Aid. So they had to go Flavor Aid, which was like the generic knockoff of Kool-Aid. And
what did he do with that Flavor Aid?
Mixed in, I can't remember if it was arsenic or cyanide.
Maybe both.
But he also put in bleach. He put in basically anything that he could put in to kill you faster. And the craziest, the heaviest part of all this, which we haven't really touched on. There's voice recordings of him throughout all this, giving his sermons, talking to his people.
It's recorded, yeah, when he's passing out the Flavor Aid to the people.
But before that, I mean, I think from the San Francisco days up until Jonestown, he's recording everything. That he's carrying around a voice recorder on him at all times, and he's recording everything. But there is audio recording, and some say video, but most of the time it's audio of you basically hearing people die. You hear people screaming and crying in the back.
Not just the men, women, but also the children and
and infants. Yeah, and he was encouraging the mothers to give this to your babies and your children's first, so this way they don't hear you scream. They can go first. And you hear babies crying because the concoctions that he was having he was giving them were basically causing their entire insides to melt and rupture and just burn. Yeah. In one of the worst ways possible. Like they said, it was quite. It felt from the chemicals of which they were consuming. Forensic scientists, I guess you could say, were basically saying that it should have felt like they had acid in their body that was burning them inside out. And those that refused to drink the Kool-Aid were taken off to the side and shot in the head. You were going to die. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And yeah, over 900 people died. 300, I think they said 300 died not by Kool-Aid, but by some type of bullet or other means. And Jim Jones wasn't even the last one to die. His right-hand man was the last one to die. His right-hand man had the task of basically making sure Jim Jones was dead before he killed himself. I think they said something like 13 people had escaped, but they don't know where they went because the way the compound was set up, there was at least 7 to 9 miles of forest in any direction. So if you didn't have dense, heavy forest, so if you didn't know your way through it, you could have died by falling off a cliff, or you could have died by whatever animal predator is off in the woods, forest, hunting you down, and it was just. It I don't want to say a foolproof plan, but I mean it was basically it was a massacre. I mean, basically, it's what it is. It wasn't a mass suicides. It was a massacre.
He convinced people to poison themselves. Well, they didn't know. They didn't know it was poison, though, right? Did they know that it was poison?
They did.
They did.
They knew it. They knew it was poison, but the only reason why he did the flavored was so this way it wouldn't taste bitter. So they couldn't taste it. Then it might have it was arsenic, because they're saying that arsenic tastes like bitter almonds. So yeah, they put Flavor Aid in it, so this way it would hide the taste of the bitter almonds and the bleach. But I mean, I don't think anything could really mask the taste of bleach by itself. I mean, it's just
900 people. That's like all of San Pedro High School.
Yeah. And in fact, the anniversary of it just passed not that long ago.
Really?
November 18th.
Oh, yeah. It's recent.
Yeah. So
it was a wild ride when I heard when you introduced this mass murderer to me. I had no idea about it.
I told you it was going to be a heavy thing.
It was crazy. There's just so much to the story. And yes, I think, I understand that because of the whole religious aspect. I know you wanted me to get like a reaction to it.
Right.
And he was a master manipulator.
Right.
And like what these other podcasters were saying, I don't think he really believed in God. I think he believed in power and wanting to control people. But the hard part is he did do a lot of good at the beginning. He was helping people.
Yeah, I know that. Like I said, that's what. And if you look at most of the cults, they're all like that. They all start out with they're actually doing good. They're actually doing a good service to man.
But something always happens. Like I was thinking about I brought it up, the fundamentalist Mormon cult, because I saw a special on Netflix. And what happened there, it was they built their little community.
Yeah.
and then the person at the top was known to be having sex with all the fundamentalist Mormon girls, and it was seen as, well, you have to do this thing because, you know, he's the leader and it's for your own good. It's actually really good that he wants to.
This sounds like the children of God.
Maybe it might be. I can't remember the names.
That's one of the other cults that I wanted you to really listen to. You know, a podcast about, because if it's the same guy, he had the mentality of all of you girls need to have children, but I can only be the father. And generation after generation, for as long as he lived, it was basically one big incest cult where men, I mean boys are girls. If if he wanted to have sex with you, he was going to do it. And if you're a woman and you wanted to have a baby, he was the only father that you could have.
Yeah, I think that might be the one. If we keep doing this series on cults, we'll get to that one.
Okay.
So here's more of my reactions. Is I don't think he really believed in God. I think he liked the power aspect. I think he liked the idea of having the power over people, even if it meant manipulating people's emotions, even if it looked like he was doing good. I think he liked the fame, and I think that's what kind of led him. I think he abused like actual biblical teachings for his personal gains. That's what I think. But yeah, it's like he did do a lot of good, just like I said. So you would think, oh, this guy can't be bad. But
it's almost like that. It's almost like that Chappelle joke. Gotcha, bitch. You know, yeah. He fooled 900 people.
I want to say that he really believed in the Karl Marx version of communism and socialism, because I don't think he believed in God. I think he manipulated that. I think
at one point he did. I think there was a point in it, but I think the drug influence turned it from I believe in God to I believe I am God.
I can see that.
You know,
I can see that. And I think he really just went off the rails on like sound biblical doctrine, because obviously the Bible doesn't teach you can have sex with all the women in your group.
Right.
You know, I don't think the Bible is big on drugs and stuff like that.
I don't know. There was a burning bush in there from what I heard, so.
Well, that is true. There is a burning bush.
Yeah, there is, man.
Come on, you're really gonna say Moses was tripping on acid?
Tripping on something, man. That was some good greens.
But I also don't think God wants people to kill 900 people because of the government's coming after me.
Because the government, no, yeah. But I mean, when I did watch the movie The Ten Commandments, it seemed like God wanted to kill the firstborn of all the Egyptian pharaohs and all that stuff. So I mean,
well, true, because the Egyptians enslaved God's people,
right,
the Israelites, and Moses said, "Let my people go," many times, and Pharaoh just wouldn't listen.
Pharaoh's like, no, fuck your kids.
You got some pretty good impersonations, I must say, Marcelo. So yeah, let's land this plane. I gave you my thoughts. What do you think
of the whole thing?
The whole entire shebang.
He was a crazy psycho. Which I mean, I'm kind of ashamed to say that, like, man, like when I first heard this, I was like, I could have probably believed in that, if I would have seen him, solving those kind of problems. Not saying I probably would have given him everything, but I mean, to kind of be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty cool thing to get, to be a part of.
Surprisingly, I feel the same exact way. Yeah. Seeing the things that he was doing, integrating, different people of color together.
Can you imagine what it would have been like if he didn't go off the rails, if he kept up with that, really integrating, I mean, of course, we're saying integrating now as if like, black people don't have rights, which I mean, I guess that could be a whole nother argumentative thing. But back then when like you really had segregation and the idea, the concept of like, even like sharing a bathroom, something like that was really, really, ahead of its time. I mean, he was progressive, way ahead of his time. And, I mean, sometimes I wonder and I think like what could have happened if he didn't, lose his mind and start wanting to kill people. And
I guess he would have been seen as a really good civil rights leader. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think we can land on that at least if he didn't go crazy. And
yeah, exactly.
He probably would have been like up there with Abraham Lincoln and maybe Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
Like someone that's really looking out for civil rights and
for people in general. I mean, just for the overall happiness of, we are all here on the same planet kind of a thing.
Just insane.
Yeah, but just the beginning for you because man, do I have some good cults and good other things that you need to really, really follow on. Not to really set it in stone, but I think the next one I want you to really focus on is probably going to be Heaven's Gate.
All right.
It's a little more newer. It's not quite 70s. This actually happened in the 90s. Pretty close to here too. They all happened just outside of San Diego.
Whoa.
So
close to home.
Yeah. So, and I think that one's definitely one that's going to be kind of like a Jonestown thing where you see yourself going, oh yeah, I could have believed in that. And I think you probably would have felt, I think you probably feel a lot better about yourself listening to this. I don't know. It's like I said, this cult was just, as long as if you didn't know about the inner workings of it and like what happened behind the scenes, not that Andrew was abused behind the scenes, because the leader of that didn't believe in setting his followers up to be like the guinea pigs. He would do it on himself first before he would put it. So I mean, like I said, it was like it's almost like they had a conscience, and he finally had like the mentality of, if I can't do it myself, I'm not expecting you to do it. Which I think is probably what caused that big old snafu. And not to spoil it, and not like I'm going to be spoiling anything else. There's people that are around because they walked out of the cult that have said, I'd go back.
Really?
I'd go back and I'd do it all again.
That's crazy.
So,
I mean, because the question I always have, and this is a question I'm always going to have for you, is why do people feel the need to follow something that sounds good but may not be good? Like, how do you know what you're following is good?
I honestly, I don't think that they really know that. I think do you
think we have something in us as humans that we
100%.
think we want to believe in something?
100%. Like I said, it's like I go back to the whole addict thing. I mean, it's crazy to us because we haven't hit rock bottom. But if you look at someone that has hit quite literally rock bottom, where they are just literally grabbing at straws just because they want to make it to the next day, they're going to grab at whatever idea is willing to pull them in and give them that 1 ounce of support to help them get to the next day, to get to their next meal, to the next drink, to the next sleep, whatever. And that's what a lot of these cults do fuel themselves on, is quite literally just, I have nowhere else to turn. You guys are giving me a chance to feel important and to feel welcome and to feel needed. So I'm going to follow you. And they just do it blindly just because at that point, they don't know anything else.
Would you say, Marcel, there's a way to regulate a cult? Like, is there any way someone could say, no, don't go to that cult? Do you think anyone has the authority or the power to say, hey, like the government was going after Jonestown?
Right.
So obviously someone said, no, that's not good. So how do we get to that point to establish where someone has the authority to say, no, we can't go to that cult. That thing's bad. How can we regulate? Any ideas there? I'm just
no. I know. I get you. I think that would be a very hard thing to do, because I mean, if you really think about it, most of the laws kind of already tell you not to join cults. I mean, if you look at the basics of most cults, the later development stages, there's usually murder, there's usually forced sex and sexual abuse. So I mean, the laws are there. It's just it's a matter of just trying to like Scientology. No one really looked at it as being evil until Leah Remini was like, hey, listen, it's really fucked up in there. I got out of it. Let me tell you what's going on the inside. And that's when people start realizing, oh shit, this is a fucked up thing.
Yeah, and with Scientology, the thing there was a lot of abuse.
Right. Well, I mean, almost all the cults have, I mean, there's abuse, but
like you have to abandon your family to follow this thing.
Yeah.
So I think we can at least say, if a group is telling you, oh, you have to like excommunicate your own family members, that's probably a red flag.
That could be. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there are certain things we can like set in place, say, hey, it's probably a call you probably might want to stay away. So if something's saying abandon your family to follow this thing, maybe that's a place to start.
Maybe, but I mean, like I said, if you look at like Buddhism, to become a monk, you kind of have to do that. To be like Catholic Church, to be a priest, you've got to go off into the I can't think of the name of it, but I know like for nuns, it's like you got to go off into the convent. It's where like you not that they're cutting out ties completely, but they
also have to be celibate.
Exactly. So you have to give up like a lot of things just to appease.
Right. Which
an idea.
That's one of the things I don't necessarily agree with Catholicism, although I have learned to respect it a little bit more now that I'm a little bit older and I get their traditions, but I still find it strange that a priest can't marry. And once again, there's that regulation of sex.
Right, yeah.
Where I don't agree. Like I said, although I do have a lot of respect for the Catholics and the traditions.
Yeah, because that takes a lot of fucking dedication.
I like the word you use, dedication, because I think we're human and sex is a part of life.
Yeah, it's
the reason why you and I are here.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that anymore.
Neither do I. After the card games that I played with my mother, and others this past weekend. Yeah,
let's tune our brains back to mass killings. How about that? There we go.
Whew, so much better. Thank you. Weight lifted off my shoulders.
Can't wait to do another one.
I know, right?
Well, I just want to say thank you for listening to this Simple Sessions.
Yep.
On what did we title it?
I think we're just going to title it "Don't Drink the Flavor-Aid." Or maybe just don't drink the Kool-Aid. Because
that's a more common phrase.
Yeah, that's a more common phrase. So
don't drink the Kool-Aid. You just learned a lot about Reverend Jim Jones, and like you said earlier, we're going to link some other podcasts that go very much in depth.
Oh yeah. I mean the one that I've mentioned I think a few times just on regular episodes. The last podcast on the left.
Well, now we lost a bunch of listeners to them.
Probably,
no one's going to listen to Simple Times anymore.
I'm sure we'll have people come over and say like, hey, let's hear how stupid they're talking today. But no, I mean the last podcast guys, they do very, very. If it is something that has a lot of fucked up stuff behind it, like Jonestown, I mean, they went 5 episodes, and each episode is at minimum an hour and a half. I think one episode's almost 2 hours, 10 minutes or something like that.
And my favorite thing about last podcast on the left is that they use a lot of humor.
Yeah.
And there's like, what, 3-4 people?
There 3.
There's 3, and then
3 on the show, but behind the scenes, I think there's like a whole team of them.
Right. And they have huge personalities.
Yeah.
So it's a very enjoyable listen because their personalities really shine and they're hilarious.
Yeah. And then also the other one was one called Case File, but
that seemed a little more like. It seemed like it was older and it's more serious.
Yeah. The
they
guy
give you the straight facts.
Yeah, Narrator X. That's all they call him because he's or is it the anonymous? It's something along those lines where you don't know who he is, you don't know his name, nothing, what he looks like, anything like that. It's very monotone. It's just him basically. I don't want to say reading a script, but there are writers that put together these stories for him. Or even he does it. I mean, I don't know. We don't know who he is, how he does it. But
not to downplay, they're very well constructed.
Right.
You get the info you need, but
you kind of feel it's a little boring.
It does feel that way compared to the last podcast.
Right.
On the left.
Yeah.
But hey, to each his own. Everyone has different tastes, and
some people might want just straight facts, which is what Case File does. Where last podcast they give you straight facts, but they make fun of them as well. They make fun of the facts. They make, and they are dark humor. That humor is like super duper deep space kind of dark. It's very, 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 very dark. So.
And last thing real quick, if you like what you're listening to here, you want to hear more from the BeachGlass family, listen to Marcelo's other podcast.
New episodes coming soon.
New episode coming soon, guys. You heard it here.
Episodes.
Oh, episodes.
Ooh, yeah.
Look up A Fear in Review. Marcelo reviews horror movies with his co-host, Rory. And it's a good listen. They review good stuff. And I'm not going to lie, Marcelo, after you review these movies, and after you spoiled them for me.
You want to go back and watch them?
I kind of want to watch them. Because I believe in your recommendations. And so once again, that podcast is called A Fear in Review. And another podcast on the BeachGlass family is my personal podcast, Faith and Politics. I wrapped up season 1, so that's up. And I don't know when I'm going to come back for more episodes. I really want to focus on Simple Times and editing A Fear in Review for right now. But check those out, and I hope you enjoyed this one.
Yeah, well, both Andrew and I will return soon for a pretty for our year-end Christmas extravaganza. So we're planning for that to be our biggest one yet. Of course we always try to outdo the last one, but I think this one, if all goes well, all goes according to plan, this will be the biggest episode for Simple Times that we have done yet. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the next one. Did you want to plug any social medias?
Real quick, follow us on Instagram. Just search Simple Times Podcast. It'll pop up. Hit that follow button. Write to us. And if you do, if you have a question, comment, whatever, we'll feature on the next episode, on the Christmas one or any future episode. And you could be part of our Simple Shout-Out segment. That's always fun. But yeah, we're also on X, but I don't really check that. And we're on Facebook. I don't really check that. Instagram's the place to be. That's where we're most active. And
That's where the youngsters are.
that didn't sound like Jim Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's where all the youngsters are, everybody.
Okay, Bill Cosby.
Now, don't you go on over here with all the pudding pops. Maybe if they had some of the pudding pop, they wouldn't taste so bad.
All right, Marcel, I'm trying to close the show.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to glorify a rapist.